What is going on, YouTube people? Today, we are going to talk about buying the card and not the label, and how it is the biggest lie in the hobby at the moment. This is a topic we've discussed before on the channel, but it has kind of reared its ugly head in a odd sort of way with all the Beckett nonsense that's been going on. We're going to have a little bit of chat here for a minute, and then I'm going to cut to about a 6-minute clip from the live stream I had with Filmington on Saturday night, where we kind of talk about this as well. But we'll get to that in a minute. Where am I going with this? So, Beckett announced all these changes. Gem Mint was going to turn into a third of the cards were going to go to Gem Mint 10, and then 75% of them or 80% of them were going to go to Mint Plus. And people lost their minds, and I get it. I understand why people lost their minds. Because suddenly the label on the card, instead of saying Gem Mint, was going to be designated as Mint Plus. So the perception of value was lost there. But here's the thing that I think everyone forgot. Everyone says it, the whole buy the card, not the label thing. And I've ranted about this before, but if that was actually true, the Beckett change wouldn't have mattered. The cards, my green Tatum, that's a Min Gem that sells for Min Gem pricing, was still going to be a Min Gem and a Mint Plus slab. But the card inside is still the exact same card with the exact same subgrades. It just says Mint Plus instead of Gem Mint 10. And the market kind of already treated it that way anyway, because a Min Gem sells for less than a True Gem. This is kind of some of the stuff Filmington and I talk about. But everyone lost their collective minds. And, I did videos on it too, because I knew that the label and the brand and what's written on it and what little numbers are on there and what little 3-letter acronyms are on there and what color the slip is and all that stuff, for a majority, is more important than the actual card that sits below the label. At least on the ultra modern side. Once again, painting with a broad brush here. Don't everyone lose their crap. But it's true. It's 100% true. If it wasn't, a PSA 10, a BGS 9.5, a CSG 10, and an SGC 10 would sell for basically the same amount of money. They don't. That's your proof right there. That a majority of people care more about the card saying Gem Mint PSA 10, Beckett Gem Mint 9.5, CSG Gem Mint, whatever. They care more about that little slip of paper than they do about the actual card encased inside the piece of plastic. And the secondary market tells us that is 100% truth. 100%. You cannot deny it. You cannot say that is a lie. It is 100% facts. A majority of people care more about the label than the card. That was Beckett's mistake. They underestimated how important the nonsense was, really. The labeling, the wording mattered to people. And it's been really fun lately reading some of the various comments and ideas that people have and this, that, and the other thing. You could quickly tell who has a lot of what in their collection, because everyone's kind of throwing out these ideas, and you could quickly tell who the people are that probably have BGS 10s loaded up in their collection. You could tell the people that might have a couple black labels. You could tell the people that might have a bunch of Min Gems based off of some of the ideas that they throw out there. And for Beckett, what is tricky, what is honestly super tricky, is who are they trying to appease? The people that currently have Beckett cards in their collection, or the people currently submitting the Beckett and the business they are hoping to drive in the future with these proposed changes or whatever they end up doing? Because there's probably a lot of people that were losing their collective minds over the weekend about this that probably haven't sent a card to Beckett in years, or at least since the middle of the pandemic. I guarantee there's people losing their crap writing up dissertations that don't currently submit cards to Beckett, or submit maybe a handful a year. So is it in Beckett's best interest to help those people, or protect those people, if you will, or to come up with something that potentially generates more business coming into the door, a scale that makes sense going into the future, and whatever that might look like? So they're stuck in a very interesting space, trying to thread the needle on both those sides of the equation. You don't want to piss a bunch of people off because they're going to cause a bunch of racket. But if those people aren't actually submitting to you, what does it matter? And that's the other thing too. They're asking you for people's feedback. That's something to consider as well. Is this person giving you, or these people or groups of people, giving you genuine feedback, or are they just trying to protect whatever they have sitting in their Zion case or their vault or whatever it might be? I saw a lot of saber rattling from the Pristine 10 and the Black Label people, and I get it. I definitely do, but you make up a grand total of like 2.6%, 2.7% of all the cards graded by Beckett versus, all the Gem Mint cards that are out there. Like, what makes sense to shake the snow globe first there? The ones that's going to affect around 2% of the population, or that potentially has a drastic impact on a bulk of the cards on the market? I don't know who's submitting most of the cards to Beckett these days. They probably have that information, but they have to kind of live in both these worlds of protecting, these collectors, I guess, to a degree, but also come up with something that makes business sense for them. Because remember, they are ultimately a business, and they have to make whatever decision makes the most sense to continue to generate income, profit, more orders, all that stuff. Now, I don't agree with what they wrote out. I didn't like it at all. But I understood where this was going to go the second they tried to segment the Gem Mint base into two separate things, and they weren't going to be called Gem Mint anymore. I knew that was going to go poorly because we care more about the label than the card. And that's why I immediately, as soon as this was all going down and I was talking the gem rate, I said, pull me these numbers. I need to know how many cards this affects. And that's where we got those percentages from. So I'm going to flip it over to our little discussion that I had with Filmington about this. It's kind of covering some of the same stuff, but kind of hear a little bit of opposite perspective in some of those things. But once again, in the grand scheme of things, none of this probably should have mattered, because Beckett wasn't coming and taking the card out of the holder. And I think we need to keep that in mind with whatever they do end up rolling out. Good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. We'll see how many people they piss off, this, that, and the other thing. But taking a step back from it all, the card that was in your holder last week is still the card that was in your holder today, regardless of how they label it. But I do understand. I see both sides of the fence. I understand that the card inside my slab did not change, but I am also smart enough to know that if all of a sudden my Gem Mint Min Gems are now called Mint Pluses, that's going to affect the value, even though it shouldn't. We all know in the current state of the market that it will. All right, let's sneak over and listen to me and Filmington kind of banter back and forth about some of this stuff for a few minutes, and we'll catch you boys and girls on the next one. To me, I get wanting to get rid of 9.5 as your main grade. Like I do kind of see that, like to their point, like their initial statement of the reason that we're doing this is that we want our Gem Mint grade to be in line with the rest of the industry standard. Cool. But you can't throw out 85% of your cards and say that they're not labeled as Gem Mint anymore. Even if, and a lot of people have brought this up, and it's true, the secondary market already kind of takes a BGS 9.5 and prices them differently, to your point earlier with the percentages. So that's already there. So in theory, in a perfect world, if we all lived in a bubble, this change really shouldn't affect anything in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? Like the subgrades are still the subgrades. They should probably still sell for the same percentages they did before. But it feels bad to know that 85% of your cards just became mint plus instead of gem mint. Like from a perception standpoint, it's just not great. It doesn't feel good. You're going to piss people off. And that's really the hitch. The card inside the holder is still the same card that it was before this announcement came out and after this announcement came out. But I mean, you and I both know that that's not how it works. Otherwise, if it did, a PSA 10, an SGC 10, a BGS 95, and a CSG 10 would all sell for the same amount of money. So the label, how it's labeled, the wording that's on there, what color the holder is, all that ancillary crap that really shouldn't matter does matter quite a bit. And I think that's where I don't want to, they didn't give that, I guess, enough respect that it deserved. That ancillary stuff is actually extremely important, even though the card in the holder is the same card as it was yesterday as today.
Yeah, I see that point. I think in the short term, maybe the impact is small. Maybe people's preferences towards certain subgrades being certain, 9.5 versus 10, maybe that would help overlook the fact that the overall condition is considered something different. But I think 3-5 years from now, I think it would more and more people coming into the hobby being like, well, this is mint plus, SJC 9.5 is mint plus. My SJC 9.5, there's a comp for this. There's not one for BGS 9.5 mint plus. And this was 40% of a PSA 10. So I'm not going to pay X amount over the comp just because it's in a Beckett holder and you think it's worth more. Personally, I was ready to decrease my expectations for all of my cards that are currently in min gem holders. I was ready to not seek out min gems at a certain price point because of the condition change. I was ready to adjust my expectations from a buyer and seller perspective. Same thing with quad 9.5. Unfortunately, stuff I already have or stuff I see at a show where I think that there's an arbitrage opportunity. Like, great, like that's all Beckett did. That was like a positive for collectors. Oh, more arbitrage opportunities for those that are willing to take the time to do it. But like getting cards removed from your holders, is that really a win? You made some people happy, but
yeah, because if they actually went through with this change, what would ever be the point to keep a card in a true gem slab? Like you would just crack it and send it to PSA and roll the dice. On average, you're probably, if you send 10 cards, even if 70% come back a PSA 10, even if 60% come back a PSA 10, and ideally it would probably actually be a little bit higher if you crack them, but you're still coming out ahead in that case. Because to your point from earlier, if they went through with this, there's probably a decent chance that true gems trend closer to a PSA 9 than further away. So what are you really losing out other than maybe a little bit of time and a grading fee, depending on the type of card that you're sending in? That can be pretty pricey. But
yeah, it's extra annoying. Like the more you think about it, the more angry I get. Like people are asking, like, well, what about the cards with no subgrades that have a 9.5?
Yeah, so someone brought that up, and that's something that they didn't address. Like,
yeah,
I have no idea what they were going to do with those.
Are you going to send those in and pay money to get them reholder and get them devalued? So now for sure it's a mint plus. You have 85%
yeah, you'd almost
chance.
Be better off to keep it with no subgrades.
Yeah,
then it's the mystery.
And all of a sudden, it's worth more than my True Gem 9.5, according to Beckett's eyes. In some people's eyes, they view it that way.
And the thing we were talking about last night on Carlos's live stream was, if you submit now and you select no subgrades, and it comes back a BGS 10 with no subs, gem mint, it's at least a true gem or a true gem plus.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, a true gem plus or a true gem plus plus.
Yeah, it's narrowed down to one of those two.
It's one of those two. You don't know what the individual subgrades are, but you probably don't care at that point anyway.
Right.
Because you have a gem mint 10 Beckett, which is,
Yeah, to somebody's point, I think Jason's making this point. I personally, from, again, modern baseball, that's my lens. With stuff, higher end stuff, grails, again, like Steph Curry rookies, Topps Chrome stuff, very different. But from the stuff that I operate in, my genre, I wouldn't have been surprised if they rolled this out the way that they were expected to based on Friday night again, I could see resale value not increasing on anything, even their new 10s. Because again, True Gem Plus already did pretty well with Bowman Chrome autograph. With other modern baseball stuff, probably not as much, not as well, like with like Topps flagship. Beckett isn't as adored for those brands. For Topps Chrome autographs, it does okay. Bowman Chrome and Bowman Chrome autographs, it does really well. But I, yeah, I would not be paying more for a BGS 10 than a BGS 9.5 True Gem Plus, for instance, just because of that number. Like what you were just saying, like BGS 9.5, well, it's still the same card afterwards, same condition. It's just the plastic's different, or it's just if you were to reholder it, the label will be different, right? It's it's the fourth best grade now. That's where it's changed as well. The Beckett's fourth best grade is a 9.5 if they were to roll it out based on.
Yeah, but the market already treated it as the fourth best grade.
Third best grade because there wasn't a 10 gem in, right?
But I'm saying that the market treated it as Black Label,
oh, got it,
Pristine, True Gem Plus,
okay,
True Gem Plus, True Gem, Min Gem. So even though they weren't labeled, the market naturally treated it as the fourth or fifth best grade.
But now you look at the alt app and you see the different, you can see all the top ones together, and you're like, there's like, not only is there a 10, but there's a 10 Pristine, there's a 10 Black Label. Yeah. Like, oh, damn, I'm really low in the totem pole. I lost my leverage. I don't know.
The people that were really having heart attacks last night were data tool people of how the hell they were going to handle this.